Hello, this is Leslie Fiorenzo. Today I want to talk about how to handle an angry employee. Because if you have not already, I'm certain that sometime in your career you're going to be faced with someone who's lost their temper. And I think it's important that you know how to deal with this. So let's talk about it before it becomes an issue and understand this emotion called anger, because it is an emotion all of us experience. And according to Charles Spielberger, PhD, who's a psychologist who studies anger, he says anger is an emotion that varies in intensity from mild irritation to intense rage and fury. And just like other emotions you feel in your body, anger might cause your blood pressure to rise, your heart rate to increase, and levels of your energy hormones, things like adrenaline and noradrenaline, to rise. Anger is an instinctive response to threat, and a natural reaction to threat is to lash out. What we want to be able to do is avoid matching that angry person's action. Someone who's angry at work especially might raise their voice, make a threatening gesture, or use profanity. Avoid matching their actions. Now, this is a bit challenging because as humans we have something called mirror neurons, which means we are likely to mirror the behavior that we see in the other person. So for example, somebody smiles at us, we automatically smile back. Mirror neurons. When somebody's angry, our first response, get angry back. Well, avoid that natural inclination. Take a breath, put some space, let the person know you want to listen to them, you want to hear, you want to find out, you want to problem solve, but you won't listen if their voice is raised, if they're shouting at you, if they're stamping their feet or pounding their fist on the table. Say something like, you seem pretty upset right now. I'm not sure what happened, but I'm more than willing to listen if you will lower your voice, stop using profanity. Why don't we go to the conference room where we can talk? Come at it from a perspective of curiosity as opposed to judgment. We're pretty good at making up stories about why somebody's behaving the way they're behaving without really knowing that we're accurate or that we're right. So instead, let the person know you're concerned. You would like to understand what's happening from their perspective. Start by describing what you saw, what you heard, and telling them you're not sure what prompted their response, but you'd like to find out. Let's go to a quiet place where you can listen. Then put your best listening skills to work. Active listening means you're not only listening to the words that you're hearing the person say, but you're in tune to their emotions, like their body language, their tone of voice, all of the things that are making up the message. So when you're actively listening, you're also able to summarize what you believe the person is saying and check back for accuracy. So maybe it's something like, you've told me you're frustrated because whatever the reason, maybe a machine broke down or a report didn't get completed accurately, or a customer lost their temper with the employee, that happens, or something went wrong. You're really wanting to summarize what you heard them say, but also the feeling behind those words. And then, is that right? Is that accurate? Do I have that correct? And if they say yes, then you can move forward with the next step, which is problem solving. If they say, no, you've got it all wrong, then tell me more. Help me understand. Those phrases can be very effective to use. Help them think of ways to solve the problem. Sometimes when we just help somebody take a step back from a situation and think more clearly about a situation, then we can move forward. Avoid trying to get into the details of what happened or force agreement on what happened. You did this, they did that. Not helpful. Just think about being future focused. What are we going to do differently next time? When this problem happens, if we think we've got it solved and it rears its ugly head again, what are we going to do differently in the future? So we put a plan in place, check back. Let's check in a week or so and see how it's going. And so you make a note on your calendar. Remember, whatever you promise to deliver to someone, you want to make sure you keep that promise. Because believe it or not, they are watching, they are remembering. And if you're the leader, the team leader, the supervisor, you're in charge of the group, they're going to look to you to make sure you fulfill your promises. So whatever that means, whatever that looks like to you, making a note in your notebook or putting it on your calendar, make sure you follow up to get back with the person, check in, see how things are going. So just to recap, at some point in your career as a team leader or supervisor, you're going to encounter an angry employee, and I think it's better if you think through what you're going to do before that happens than trying to do it in the moment without any experience, without the ability to practice and take a step back. And I would recommend creating a written plan for yourself, really thinking about it, and include language you would use. What do I want to say if this happens? How might I start this conversation? It's best to start with a statement and not start with a question, and then use what questions rather than why questions. And I've covered some of these tips in other videos, but I think it's well worth the time you spend up front to think through these situations, think about how you're going to respond, and create a plan of action. So of course, as always, I would value your feedback. So if you put this plan in place, would love to hear a comment, or if you have an initial reaction, feel free to comment below in the section of the video. And of course, as always, would welcome you to subscribe if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, and share this video with someone who you think would benefit. Appreciate you tuning in today. Take care.